This video is to present the Schneider Electric Tag Manager and the agility it brings to web analytics. Web analytics records your activity on a website by sending small requests called tags to a collector. This tag collector can be AT Internet, Google Analytics, Site Catalyst, or whatever. They all use the same principles. Before 2010, when you needed to track any action on your site, you had to modify page content for each of those actions. For example, to know how many times the page has been viewed, a specific piece of code needed to be added, and it wasn't always the same for all pages. If we wanted to track the usage of header links, another piece of code on each link. And then if we wanted to track the usage of internal search engine, once again, a specific piece of code needed to be added. Of course, the same was true for download tracking or remarketing tags, which are used to follow a campaign with a third-party tool. Once all done, your tags would be sent to your collector. So all tags required an effort from the application development side, and anytime a change occurred with these tags, it meant an application code modification. The process was really inconvenient and definitely not adapted for big companies like Schneider Electric. Because development teams' technologies varied, development cycles were never the same, which led to wrong implementations, endless developments, and in the end, corrupted data. Obviously, this was not agile. Fortunately, a more convenient way to implement web analytics appeared, using a tag management system. A tag management system allows you to configure all your tags in a container dedicated to your application. This container is hosted on a publishing platform in the cloud. Google Tag Manager is the most well-known, but it wasn't the first, and it's only been around since 2012. It's mainly designed to implement Google Analytics, but it can also embed any other kind of tag with comparable effort. It's free, like Adobe's tag management system, which is only usable by Site Catalyst users. There are many tag management systems in the market like Tag Commander, Telium, or Insighten. These aren't free, but they've been around longer and are even more powerful than the free tools. The paid solutions can manage any collector and have advanced features like the ability to facilitate tag governance or fulfill additional marketing tag needs. But basically, they all use the same principle. First, you introduce a single piece of code, always the same, on all pages. This snippet calls the container prepared for your application. All tags in this container are raised by the tag manager, including page views and all marketing tags you've configured inside. And finally, it's able to inject the necessary code in all the places you want to track. So this kind of system allows you to modify, add, or remove all basic tags without any modification on the application side. So we can say it's much more agile, but unfortunately, in itself, it's not truly fully agile. To understand why, let's take a look at an example with an e-commerce application. This time, we want to send the order data to our tag collector: order amount, tax, delivery, list of ordered products, visitor identification, and so on. Let's see how. The same container piece of code is required, but in addition, the application must produce a data layer containing all the data you want to retrieve in a formal structure, of course invisible to the visitor. Then, like before, your snippet calls the container. The container picks the data needed for the configured tags. Then it can send all the tags enriched with the order data. And finally, it injects your configured tracking that can also be enriched by the order data. So this means even with a tag management system, there are many cases where the application will have to be modified for stats purposes. It would get quite annoying because it means that the digital team would need to be involved at each sprint, which for an organization like Schneider Electric would present a heavy workload and a significant impact on the delivery timeline in order to get new measurements. So now let's see how this will be managed with the Schneider Electric Tag Manager. This tag manager was created in 2010, so 2 years before Google and a few years after the first paid systems. With it, today we can configure all AT Internet tags. It can also distinguish visitors on the internal Schneider network versus those outside our network. It makes calls to demand base, which enriches our tags with visiting companies' data as they browse Schneider Electric websites. It also embeds Google Analytics, but for a limited set of countries. Google Tag Manager is in there too, managing marketing tags like Marketo. And it can also embed any other kind of tag that can't be set up by Google Tag Manager because of its limitations. Now, let's look at how this works. Basically, it starts like the others with a constant piece of code calling the container. And here's the magic. Instead of requiring a data layer, it's able to extract all the data by itself by using a specific technology developed especially for this purpose. This technology is change resistant. In most cases, modifications performed in pages won't disturb data extraction. Then it works just like the others. It sends all the enriched tags and injects all configured tracking. So, thanks to this unique technology, the Schneider Electric Tag Manager never requires any additional effort on the application side. Until recently, the only thing missing was a cloud-based publishing platform, like all the other high-end tag management systems. This was updated this past May, so now the dependency on applications release cycle is no longer. Tags can be published when they're required, making the Schneider Electric Tag Manager fully agile. To illustrate this agility, let's take some real-world examples and compare the time spent to generate AT Internet tags in the Schneider Electric Tag Manager with the time needed if it had been done with the Google Tag Manager to generate Google Analytics tags. The first one was done in a meeting for PRM. Some modifications were required on tracking names, and at the end of the meeting, they were live. The second is the most common one. In most cases, a new click tracking takes only a couple of minutes. The third was actually completed during a training. All search engine features were implemented in 10 minutes, including page with results, page without results, keyword recording, and position of clicks. The fourth is a standard e-commerce implementation with all sales details captured. Instant Win and Foundation Quiz are dynamic applications. This kind of technology is impossible to track with Google Tag Manager, and even with most of the paid systems. Without the Schneider Electric Tag Manager, these applications would have to be modified in order to add the tracking code, like in the old-fashioned way. MySE UK is an interesting case. The creation of the data layer was estimated by the development team to be 100 days worth of work, and that wasn't counting the time needed to configure Google Tag Manager. Needless to say, they gave up when they were told that this could be completed without application change. For abc.com, both systems have been implemented. We don't exactly know the time needed to generate the final data layer, so 15 days is just an estimation, but we know that in the past it has taken 3 months to adjust it. These examples demonstrate that web analytics, with a Schneider Electric Tag Manager, is agile.